Okay, everybody. Today we're going to go into the introduction to the new edition by B.K.S. Iyengar, the new edition of Light on the Yoga Sutras by Patanjali. And we're going to cover the first two sections. The first section of the introduction is basically an expression of gratitude to his publisher and humbling himself in respect and gratitude to Patanjali. I kind of recommend that if you want the full breadth of this experience that you actually download the book on your Kindle or other reading device or buy the hard copy from Amazon or another bookseller. It's not expensive. But in order to keep the presentations cogent and coherent, I'm going to skip over some stuff. Okay, the next section is about sadhana, and that's what I'm going to focus on. You can see it's only about one page, right? It's the little bit there at the bottom, that whole page there, and then about half a page there, maybe 1.5 pages altogether. And I'm just going to cover sadhana. More specifically, I'm going to cover the 4 aspects that lead us to practice yoga. And if you read the introduction, it's very wordy, and I mean it's great, and there's probably stuff that I'm missing. But I spent a couple hours trying to mind map this so I could understand exactly what Iyengar was saying. This is a very thick book, and as I mentioned earlier, I'm doing this as much for me as I am for you, and hopefully you're getting something out of this. So, moving along, the main thing is that we're all trying to pursue Vedanta, or the road to perfect knowledge. If I expand this topic a little bit more, you'll see that the term Vedanta comes from Veda, meaning knowledge, and Anta, meaning the end of knowledge. And diving a little deeper, the true end of knowledge is emancipation and liberation from all perfections. This is what we're going for here. True happiness. Hence the journey or Vedanta is an active pursuit of the vision of wisdom to transform one's conduct and actions in order to experience the ultimate reality of life. These words are taken directly from Section 2 of the introduction, entitled Sadhana, and I've just reorganized them in a way that make it easier for me to understand, and hopefully for you. We'd all be there if we didn't have obstacles or disturbances, and according to Iyengar, the disturbances arise out of a lack of knowledge or misunderstanding, fear, love of the self, attachment, and aversion with respect to the material world. One's actions and conduct become disturbed. So that's how the disturbances happen. And they show up as these basically 6 categories. Kama, which is lust; krodha, which is wrath; greed, which is lobha. These are all Sanskrit words. Moha, which is infatuation; mada, which is intoxication; matsarya, which is malice. All these emotional disturbances, I apologize for the noise, all these emotional disturbances affect the psyche by veiling the intelligence. So, we need a spiritual practice, or sadhana, or a means toward an intended goal. Generally speaking, spiritual practices have 4 objectives. One is to find one's dharma, or one's right duty. There's an expression called dharma sastra, which is the atonement of duty. And what that means is that it is dharma that uplifts the man who has fallen physically, mentally, morally, intellectually, and spiritually, or who is about to fall. We'll get more into atonement later, what that means in the context of yoga. Artha, rightful purpose and means. Karma Sastra means means purification of action. I got an extra word in here, so I'm going to delete that. And then Kama, right inclinations. Svadhyaya or Jnana Sastra. Our inclinations are made good through the study of sacred texts and growth toward wisdom. And Moksha, ultimate release or emancipation. Bhakti Sastra, devotion, and Dhyana Sastra, meditation. Moksha is reached by practicing devotion and meditation. Okay, so that's generally how these spiritual practices are viewed, at least by the Hindus. So, the Yoga Sadhana of Patanjali. Patanjali describes to us the practice of yoga so that we can achieve all these things, Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. And by achieving those things, or in the process of achieving those things, we'll rid ourselves of our disturbances and we'll progress along the road to perfect knowledge. The Yoga Sadhana of Patanjali comes to us as a penance in order to minimize or eradicate these disturbed and destructive emotive thoughts and the actions that accrue from them. So here we see the word penance, and before we talked about atonement, I looked up the word penance, and penance means to punish oneself as an atonement for one's evil deeds. And for any of you who've ever done yoga before, sometimes those poses can be pretty painful. I like the expression pain, purification through pain. And sometimes we, in order to purify ourselves of our disturbances, we have to let them go. And letting them go is sometimes quite painful. Any of you who've ever lost a loved one, or lost a job, or lost something that you cherish, know that and understand what that pain means. And the pain from practicing yoga is a similar kind of pain, although we may not see the connection. But we are actually, the reason why we are experiencing pain is because we're having to let go of an attachment that is functioning as a disturbance, and thereby, keeping us from our happiness, or the end of knowledge, so to speak. So there you have it. Let me see if I can fit this map. Okay. All right, I'm not going to play with this anymore, but I will upload a copy of this map that is expandable, so you can see it and study it if you like. All right. Thank you. Namaste.